Greetings, adventurers. My name is Kramer, and today we are comparing my Witcher gear to my Ranger gear. Talk about how they both function, which one I like better, and maybe even which one you might want to be going for if you're considering making one of these. But first, we have to discuss what is a Witcher and what is a Ranger, so we know the criteria roughly that we're judging them on. A Witcher is a professional monster hunter. He is a genetically modified human made to be the superior fighting beast. And with lots of training and specialized equipment, he is able to complete his task of ridding the world of monsters, and that is pretty much all he does. He is a professional monster killer, which means that his strength lies in his specialization. A Ranger can be a little bit more complicated, depending on what world it is we're looking at, but we will look at The Lord of the Rings and Ranger's Apprentice, two of my absolute favorite series involving Rangers. And a Ranger is a full-time scout. He has a territory in his charge, and it is his duty to go about in that territory and gather information about it, report it, and sometimes take care of threats before they even reveal themselves to the public. So the Ranger is a scout and a warrior whose strength comes from his versatility and his adaptability. So I based my Witcher kit off of the Ursine armor from The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt by CD Projekt Red, and I'm aware that I don't have a lot of stomach protection here at the moment, and that is because just the chest plate really has that silhouette that CD Projekt Red made so iconic with The Witcher 3. Now, the key strength for customization with a Witcher set is his ability to turn into an absolute tank, and essentially just put on way more armor than he had last time. Aside from that, there's not really a whole lot of variance aside from the different types of armor, and the ironic thing is that the more you dress like a Witcher, the less you can actually fight like one, because I am over encumbered right now. Like, I don't even know, with this armor on, if I can even draw. Oh, I can. But Witchers do all sorts of pirouettes and sort of stuff like that while they're fighting. And this makes it really difficult because this is LARP armor. It is not attached with arming points. It's not secured to me correctly. It's not really fitted to me properly. And so I can't do dive rolls or anything like that with this. I can't even raise my arms really without the gorget coming up into my throat and choking me. That's my hair getting caught in my armor there. And that might be a really cool thing to test out one day with like proper armor. But right now I pretty much don't wear these unless I want to look really cool. I have a good amount of mobility in this. I can move my arms, I can raise my arms, I can touch my toes. And I am able to draw this sword out without needing any assistance or a special scabbard or anything like that. There we go. That was just a cut for time. The standout piece here, obviously, is the chest plate. Without that, I'm just a guy in a black gambeson. So there is a lot less room for customization or versatility or something like that. I find what I'm wearing to heavily influence how it is that I interact with people. The Ranger garb is a lot more open and sort of unassuming, whereas this, the gambeson crosses all the way across the chest. It's very closed off. And then you have the chest plate that's locking you in. It's very closed off. All of the armor really contributes to becoming a very antisocial character, in my opinion. That might just be something that I can work on, but that is what I experienced. I ended up playing a very different character than I intended because of how my costume made me carry myself. God, it really does make my posture good though, doesn't it? Because of the lack of adaptability here, right? You can only take off so much before you stop looking like a Witcher anymore, and having the Witcher costume is kind of about looking like a Witcher. There's only so much you can do in different climates. I have removable sleeves. Not all gambesons have removable sleeves, so that's good to a point for warmer climates. But again, if you take the breastplate off, now you're just a guy wearing a gambeson. You're not really, you're a very lightly armored Witcher, we'll say that. And then in colder climates, again, there's only so much you can add before you stop being able to walk around because you're carrying so much weight on your shoulders. And with the back scabbard and with the chest plate, it is a little difficult to wear a cloak over this. So another thing I want to address is that this is not a comfortable kit to be at rest in, whether you're sitting at a table for dinner or you're sitting by the fireside or leaning up against a tree. You don't want to be wearing this. You're going to have to take it off, which means you got to put it somewhere, and that's a whole thing. It also makes me a lot wider than I normally am because of the sword here on the back. I am constantly bumping into the wall or through doorways or into people if I'm in a crowded area, so it's not a great place to keep it. So this scabbard for this LARP sword is actually meant to hang on your belt, but I designed this breastplate so that it's got these straps up here on top. So one loop on the belt sword goes through that, and then the other one goes around my main belt. So all I have to do if I want to take the sword off is undo that belt. And normally I'm wearing 2 belts. I always recommend adventurers wear 2 belts, so you can essentially just take your kit belt off and still have the look. And then all I have to do is undo that one strap, and the whole thing comes off, and I can put it down. It's very easy to put back on. It functioned very well. It functions very well, but it's still not the most convenient thing. The Witcher kit is highly specialized. Just like being a real Witcher, this is tailored to that character, which I think makes it very difficult to turn into anything other than playing a monster hunter. So my Ranger gear is objectively more comfortable, and it's a lot more versatile too. And we've seen many different iterations of the combinations I can come up with here on the channel already. And this is a new one that I stumbled upon while I was preparing for this video, where I actually leave this unlaced and open like a coat, and then I've got these wool sleeves tied on over the top. So it sort of looks a little bit like Aragorn's coat, and this is my favorite so far. And the reason I'm able to get so much mileage out of essentially the same couple pieces of clothing is because of the detachable sleeves. These go on a wool tunic, they can also go over this, or I can not wear them at all, and that allows for a very high level of adaptability based on your environment, and you still have that overall Ranger look, whereas the Witcher outfit, there's a lot less leeway there. And so aside from just having a whole bunch of different looks you can get out of the same couple of pieces, there are 2 other bonuses that I can think of to this. And one is that it functions way more practically. When I'm wearing it, it feels like I'm much more capable. I can do many more things wearing this because it just functions like actual clothes. They just look different than what we wear on a day-to-day basis. Whereas encasing yourself in armor 24/7, it just doesn't have that same level of functionality. And the other thing is, the more versatile a kit is when it's done, the easier it is to actually put together, because you don't need to have all of the pieces from the get-go. Whereas, you know, the Witcher look it's very iconic, but as I've said, it's specialized to the Witcher, so it sort of has to look that way. And if you take away too many pieces, you just cease to be a Witcher at that point. Whereas the Ranger, you can remove stuff, you can add stuff, like I made this glove very recently, and all of it just sort of fits together. And so because this is so comfortable and so functional, the Ranger kit is what I will reach for almost 100% of the time if I'm either just around my house and I want to get dressed up, or if I'm going on an adventure or filming a video. This is a lot easier for me to do things in. Compared with the Witcher outfit, there's no reason to be wearing armor 100% of the time, other than I'm a Witcher, and we don't take our armor off because that is our entire identity. It just doesn't work as well. I did try to do an experiment where I combined the Witcher and Ranger kits, trying to create like an ultimate Ranger when I went to Reckoning this past April. And it worked in the sense that I was able to wear everything all together, but it didn't work in the sense that I sort of ceased to be a Ranger once I added those Witcher elements. I really just became a Witcher that had green on him, which wasn't exactly what I was going for. So this will probably be my full go-to now. And something that I really want to draw your attention to is the way that these layers are actually worn. Because of the chest plate, all the layers that I'm wearing underneath the chest plate have to be worn in the exact same way, because everything has to go underneath the gambeson and then underneath the chest plate and then have a belt around it. So it doesn't really matter how many layers I'm wearing. It really only looks like I'm wearing one layer and then the breastplate. I'm actually wearing my wool Ranger tunic underneath this just because it's cold out right now, and I might as well not even be wearing it. You can't tell that it's there. Here, you know, a lot of them are the same length, but because I'm wearing them differently, this one's open without a belt over the front of it, and then I've got a belt over the underlayers, and there's some depth, there's some dimension there. And I would be remiss if I didn't tie this back to you. Hopefully this whole video has been informational in addition to entertaining, but you might be looking at both of these looks and thinking, well, I'd like to try one or the other, maybe even both, and wonder how and where to start. Start with the Ranger. It is such an easy answer for me. Start with the Ranger because it is so versatile, so adaptable, and so easy to put together. You can start with a Ranger and build that into anything else. You could become a Witcher, you could become a Paladin, like it could become anything, because a lot of those base layers are going to be reusable. Both of them are going to take time and maybe even some money too, if you're not so good at crafting things. If we look back to where I started this channel 2 years ago, you know, this didn't exist. Pieces of it existed, but it did not exist in the iteration that it does now. And the Witcher kit didn't exist either. I had to make that breastplate from scratch. So it does take time, but it will be a lot easier to put this together than it will be to put the Witcher kit together. And certainly less expensive if you're buying all your armor. So both of these kits have been featured extensively on the channel, and they both have their own individual short films showing them off that you can check out. But in the meantime, I would like to wish you good luck on the path. Good luck on your adventures.